Do you prefer nice or kind? I have a confession to make. I have just recently, within the last year, just recently found out the difference between nice and kind. For real. Like, nobody really told me that. Nice, the terms nice and kind have been used interchangeably throughout my life and just growing up. I don't believe that the differences were taught in school, and definitely just in everyday life, watching TV with friends. I used the word nice and kind, like I said, interchangeably. I thought they truly meant the same thing. But until recently, I realized that they don't. And even more so, I realized how important it is to know the difference. So stay tuned as we dive deep in today's conversation about the difference between nice and kind and what that means to you and how you want to be and show up in the world. Okay, so we're going to dive deep into the conversation of nice versus kind. If you're new here, I'm Keisha Melissa Speaks, and in this channel, we love to have great conversations that are introspective and that truly help you become more aligned with the self that you want to be. So today, I thought to myself, it would be a great idea to dive deep into something that I know that I am learning for myself and, more importantly, reinforcing for myself in my mind. And that is the idea of nice versus kind. And so I really, really didn't understand how important it was to truly define the differences between the two until recently in my life. And it really, really became very, very, very helpful in me understanding myself, what I prefer to be, how I've been showing up, the differences the differences in different ways that I may show up, and why, more importantly, why in certain instances we may choose one way over the other. And then there's the thought of overall what we kind of like what's our foundation, what do we define ourselves as. Do we typically define ourselves as having the identity of being more nice or being more kind? Which one is more detrimental to your spirit? Which one is more detrimental to your growth? Which one is more helpful for your spirit and your growth? I think these are all questions that we should all ask ourselves. And it's not just about us asking ourselves this question and diving deep into it for ourselves introspectively, but it's just all encompassing, right? It extends to the people that we choose to interact with and have around us and be close to us. I think it impacts all different levels of relationships that we would like to have in our lives. And those relationships also have an impact on us. So it's so important that we really try to choose more of what we prefer rather than to be around what we don't prefer. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let's dive deep. Let's learn something tonight. We're going to have great conversation. And yes, it's late at night. What time? It's like, oh, it's not too late. It's like around 9:30. Sometimes we catch each other at night to have these chats, and sometimes in the morning. So this will be a nighttime chat for us. So let's get in there. So have you ever asked yourself, have you ever said yes when you really wanted to say no? And did you do that just because you didn't want someone to think that you weren't nice? I think many of us were taught that being a good person means being agreeable, accommodating, and easy to deal with. We learned to smile when we were uncomfortable. We stayed quiet when something bothered us. And sometimes we may have avoided disappointing people, by staying quiet. We're thinking we're avoiding disappointing people at all costs. But lately, I've definitely been diving deep and thinking very deeply about the differences between being nice versus kind. And I realize that they're not always the same thing. Being nice is often about how other people perceive you. Being kind is about how you choose to treat people, including yourself. So a nice person may say what someone wants to hear because they don't want to create tension. A kind person, however, is willing to tell the truth, but they will do it with a level of care. A nice person may keep saying yes, even when they are exhausted, overwhelmed, or beginning to feel resentful. A kind person, however, understands that an honest no can be healthier than a dishonest yes. For example, imagine that someone asks you to do something, but genuinely they don't have the time or the energy. Being nice might sound like, sure, I'll do it, no problem. But inside, it is a problem. You're frustrated, you're tired, and now you may even feel resentment toward the person, even though you never told them the truth. Kindness might sound like, I care about you, but I'm not able to take that on right now. Now, that answer may not make the other person happy, but it is honest, it's respectful, and it's clear. And that is the difference. That's the difference. Now, niceness often tries to prevent temporary discomfort. Kindness is the willingness to tolerate temporary discomfort in order to create something healthier and more honest. And I want to be clear, there is nothing wrong inherently with being pleasant, considerate, or polite. Those are beautiful qualities. Actually, many people should start having some of those qualities. But the problem begins when being nice, okay, requires you to abandon yourself. Keyword, abandon yourself. When you have to ignore your own feelings, silence your own voice, or accept behavior that's actually hurting you just to maintain the image of being a nice person. That is no longer kindness. That's no longer kindness. That is people pleasing behavior. Sometimes niceness is connected to fear as well. So when people are afraid that others will be angry at them, or they're afraid that others will misunderstand them, or, sometimes we are afraid that we will be called names like difficult or given some type of identity that we didn't sign up for, like we're difficult or we're selfish or we're rude or ungrateful. So we try to manage other people's perception of us because we believe if we're nice enough, helpful enough, agreeable enough, and accommodating enough that we can control how people will respond to us. But here's the thing, we can't. We can't control how other people respond to us. What we can do is that we can, you can communicate respectfully and, someone may still be disappointed. You can set a reasonable boundary. Somebody may still even call you selfish. You can make the healthiest decision for yourself, and someone may still misunderstand you. Kindness does not guarantee approval. Kindness means that you are being intentional about not causing unnecessary harm. It does not mean that you will never make anyone feel uncomfortable. Sometimes the kindest thing that you can actually do is say, I don't agree. That doesn't work for me. I am not comfortable with that. I love you, but I can't continue doing this. I think you need to hear the truth. And those are all great statements that we should exercise more, in our language and in our mind and our spirit. Remember that kindness can be soft, but it can also be firm. Kindness can offer support, but it can also set a boundary. Kindness can forgive someone without giving them unlimited access to you. Kindness can love someone and still recognize that the relationship is no longer healthy. And most importantly, kindness includes how you treat yourself. If you are constantly protecting everyone else from disappointment while allowing yourself to live in frustration, exhaustion, or emotional pain, you may be offering other people consideration that you refuse to offer yourself. Take that in. Take that in. That's a word right there. That's a word right there. You deserve honesty too. You deserve rest as well. You deserve boundaries. You deserve boundaries. You deserve the freedom to make decisions without always asking, will everyone still think I'm nice? Maybe a better question is, am I being honest, respectful, and kind? Because the goal is not to become cold or uncaring. The goal is to stop confusing kindness with self-abandonment. You can be a kind person and still say no. You can be a kind person and still change your mind. You always reserve the right to change your mind. Please remember that. You can be a kind person and still remove yourself from unhealthy situations. So many people are afraid to do that. So many people. You can be a kind person and still disappoint people. We have to learn to stop being afraid of disappointing others. You can even be a kind person and not always be perceived as nice. Okay? I think that it is one of the hardest lessons for people who have spent their lives trying to be good to everyone. Sometimes becoming more honest will make you look less agreeable. Sometimes developing boundaries will make you look less convenient. And sometimes choosing yourself will disappoint people who benefited from you never doing that before. A lot of you didn't even think about that, huh? Soak that in. Soak that in. So, being kind does not require you to disappear. So here's a simple difference that I want us to remember, because we're learning together. We're learning together. I want us to remember that being nice is often focused on keeping people pleased. Being kind, however, is focused on treating people and yourself with honesty, care, and respect. Nice says, I don't want you to be upset with me. Kind says, I care about you, but I also have to be truthful. That's a word. A lot of words. I just know that I would much rather become a genuinely kind person than spend my life trying to convince everyone that I'm nice. So, with that being said, let me know in the comments. Let's continue the conversation in the comments. Have you ever confused being nice with being kind? And is there an area of your life where you need to practice more honest kindness, even if it means that someone may be temporarily disappointed? If this message resonated with you, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with someone who you think may need the permission to be kind without abandoning themselves. Subscribe also because we love to make new friends. We love friends that love having these type of conversations, these type of truths, these type of honest kindness, truth telling, especially the kind that we like to have with ourselves. So thank you so much. As always, I appreciate that you took your time out to watch this video. You took the time out to hear what I had to say. And most importantly, you took the time out to let that soak in for yourself and to see how it made you feel. And if it causes you to make any changes in how you should see yourself and how you can strengthen your own spirit, that is truly the best thing that I could ask for. And it's one of the things that gives me energy in doing my YouTube channel and growing this channel. And like I said, share it with somebody, because there are times where people truly do just need to hear a good, strong word, because it does, give them the permission subconsciously to let certain things go. Let certain things go that cause them to not pay attention to who they are inside. So that's it. Thank you so much. And, I'll catch you on the next conversation.